What's up, everybody? Ronnie Shawley here. I figured it's been a while since I showed you what's in my camping bag, and so here we are today checking everything out. So this is my 3-season backpacking camping setup as of 2024. So, like I said, this is my 3-season setup here. So, in the dead of winter, things change, but everything down to about 40 degrees. This at overnights. This is my setup here. So we got a Marting Top. I believe it's a 60 or 65 liter bag here off Amazon. And then I use, for 3 seasons, I use an Eco Pro sleeping bag. They're really cheap bags. They're like 25 bucks or something like that on Amazon, maybe 30 bucks. They weigh like nothing. They're pretty durable. I usually use this setup for fishing. I usually fish overnight and sleep, like, camp out and fish overnight. And so a lot of times I keep my boots on. So I kind of use this as like a top quilt. Most of the time I just kind of cover up with it instead of actually getting inside the sleeping bag. But for having my boots on all the time and sleeping on rocks and everything else and pulling the sleeping bag off me really fast at night whenever I'm getting a bite in the middle of the night, this thing has got no holes in it, and I've been using it for a few years now, and it's great. So there's my sleeping bag. I use a Gold Armor 8x10 tarp here, and inside this bag I also have some stakes. I think I have like 4 stakes in here, and then I have a ridge line that made with paracord to set it up with. And so yeah, this is my tarp setup. Most of the time I don't even set up a tarp unless I'm expecting rain. Most of the time I just kind of cowboy camp, don't set up a shelter. But this is my tarp in case I need to, or if I'm camping out for a few days in the same spot. I use this Thermarest Z-Lite, I believe it is. Yep, the Thermarest Z-Lite foam sleeping pad. This thing is super durable. I've thrown this thing out on rocks and pavement and all kinds of stuff and slept on it and stepped on it and everything else, and there's no rips in it, there's no tears. It's been a great sleep mat. Like I said, this is for my 3-season setup, so I mean it's not too thick. It's pretty lightweight, but it's enough to give you some comfort no matter what you're sleeping on. And usually under that, I have a little piece of plastic here that's about 6 inches bigger in all directions than my sleeping pad itself. So I have a good, a lot of times I don't use this if I'm on decent ground, but if I'm on like kind of wet or damp ground or something like that, or muddy or anything, I put this tarp down, or this little piece of plastic down, as a vapor barrier to keep my stuff dry and to keep it clean. And so great piece of gear to have. Costs like nothing. It's just a little, like, I think it's a little 4 or 6 mil piece of plastic that I just cut out of a bigger roll. And since it's a 3-season setup, usually you don't need this in the middle of winter, but I have a piece of no-see-um net that is a couple feet bigger in all directions than I am. It's like probably 7 foot long by 5 foot wide, I would say, of no-see-um. And this is how I battle the bugs whenever I'm sleeping, especially in the middle of summertime while I'm fishing and stuff overnight. I just lay out my sleeping pad and everything, and I just drape this over me. So that keeps the mosquitoes off of you overnight and stuff, keeps the gnats off of you. Low tech gear that's cheap. You just buy a big section of no-see-um net, and you can cut one of these out for everyone in the family, and boom, you are mosquito free overnight as long as you can keep it kind of draped over you. And for walking around and using a headlamp and stuff like that, or while I'm awake and not actively laying in my under my no-see-um net, I usually have a bug head net here. And a lot of times I'm wearing long sleeve fishing shirts, but hands and face usually is the only thing exposed while I'm fishing in the summertime. And so the head net, especially when you're using a headlight and trying to tie a knot or trying to get a fish unhooked, those bugs will just swarm that headlamp. And at least if you're wearing a head net too, it keeps them off your face and is a little less annoying that way. So 2 pieces of gear that in the summertime especially, I would not go without camping overnight, especially while I'm fishing, because you get ate up by mosquitoes. And since we are fishing overnight, you always need a headlamp. And I usually carry 2, just in case one goes dead. But I also, these are rechargeable. They're not battery powered, they're rechargeable. So I can recharge them off my battery bank and stuff like that if I need to. But usually before I go out, I try to make sure that they're fully charged and everything. So it's just something I don't have to worry about while I'm out there. But especially if you're fishing overnight and camping, headlamp is needed, very much so. Let's see what's next. So we've covered the bag and pretty much the sleeping setup. 3 season, it's kind of like, especially in the spring and the fall, and right now it's October, or that's actually November 1st today. I always keep a hoodie in my bag too, and depending on the time of year, I'll keep like a neck buff, like a little bit warmer neck buff, along with like an extra pair of like just fingerless jersey gloves, just in case like you start getting a little chilly at night and stuff while you're fishing and everything. And then in the summertime, just like a sun gaiter, a net gaiter that can help keep the mosquitoes off of you too, help keep the sun off of you, help keep the wind off of you. Piece of lightweight gear that's worth having in your bag. But just a couple extra pieces of clothing just in case you get chilly or whatever overnight or first thing in the morning. So let's see, my cooking kit. I keep a Snow Peak titanium spork in here. Love this thing. And then I got a Toaks, I believe it's a 750 milliliter pot here. And inside the pot, I'll go ahead and open it up. Right here on top, I have a Jetboil French press for my coffee, and the rest of it is inside the pot here. But this fits perfectly in the Toke 750, where you can use this as a French press, and it doesn't take up any extra room because I'm storing it right here on top of the lid of my pot. And so, Jetboil French press, and my lid here, and then I keep a little sponge in here. I hardly ever cook inside the pot. If I do, it's just like oatmeal and it rinses right back out and stuff. But so I hardly ever have to use the sponge, but just in case you cook something in here that you need to kind of scrub out a little bit. And then I got an E-Tech City little stove here that I got off Amazon years ago. I've had no problems with it. It's a click button, so whenever you hook it up to the fuel, you just turn the valve on, and then you can set self-ignites with the button, so you don't have to have a lighter or anything else with you. There's my stove. I keep an extra little rag in here just for drying stuff out and everything. And then here's the handle of my French press here. And then inside the bottom here is a little fuel canister. And I can refill these little ones off of my big one with a little adapter that I have. But then there's my pot. So that is my cook kit. And that is in my bag 100% of the time, because I will always be using my cook kit in this way. And sometimes, most of the time, that's it. That's all my cooking gear that I use. But sometimes, if I or the kids or my friends or someone's just wanting to do a like catch and cook, or like while we overnight fish, they're wanting to cook fish while we're out there, I will add in my little stove or my little skillet that I'll show you. And boom, with just this here, we can fry fish on the bank along with what I already have. So my stove, my fuel canister is in here. And then I can bring this. And I think right now there's an extra stove in here. Yeah, there's an extra stove in here just in case it goes by itself. But inside here I have some fish fry mix. and a little bottle of oil and some rags and a little skillet handle for handling this part and stuff like that. So just with this right here, we can fry some fish. But most of the time I don't bring that because it's extra weight, and I don't, we usually just don't eat fish while we're fishing overnight. And so this is set up usually as an overnight bag. Usually I go down, in the evening time, uh, catch my bait and stuff like that, set out my catfish lines or my carp lines or whatever I'm fishing for. And then after dark, I usually, I'll throw my pad out and stuff like that. And then whenever I get sleepy, I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up to a fish, taking one of the lines or something like that. And then come morning, usually I'll eat breakfast or make like some coffee right there out of the water. And then usually I'm packing it in, heading home for the day. Usually I only get single nights most of the time, but I get a lot of the single nights. Um, so I set this up as an overnight bag. So with that being said, usually I only have an overnight's worth of food in here. So this is just a couple packets of oatmeal for breakfast. You get some beef stew for dinner, and I got some beef stroganoff noodles for lunch or snack or whatever. And then I got a little bag of almonds right here, and that's my overnight's worth of food. And a lot of times I might make the oatmeal in the morning and eat the almonds, or eat, sometimes I'll bring granola bars or something like that. But most of the time I don't even make these because I'm getting there in the evening and leaving in the morning. But it's good to have in there something that will take you home in a hurry while you're fishing. Is you get hungry and you don't have any food, you're going to want to leave. So what will keep you out there, is making sure you have plenty of food and water to get you through the night. With water being said, I always keep these smart water bottles on my bag, and most of the time I don't fill this one up unless I'm staying multiple nights or something. Most of the time I can just fill this one up and have plenty of water for an overnight session, because usually I'm not walking very far either. I'm walking to my fishing spot and then setting up there for the evening. And so I'll usually boil the water that I'm fishing at to cook my foods if I'm making some, since I have to boil it anyway. And I have a Sawyer squeeze here, so if I am hiking or camping on the river for multiple days, or trying to be lightweight as possible because I'm carrying extra gear for whatever activity I'm doing, I got my Sawyer squeeze here so I can filter the water from the river, the body water that I'm at. And so that Sawyer squeeze usually goes inside a little ditty bag, a little netted ditty bag here. And also inside that ditty bag, I keep toilet paper. I keep some extra fire starter, just these little cotton pads that I've soaked in wax and lighter fluid. Work great. They burn for like 5 minutes. I keep a couple packets of sweetener for my coffee. I keep a little medical kit with like some ibuprofen and some allergy meds and sinus meds and some Band-Aids and a safety pin, and extra little lighter and stuff in there just in case. And sometimes I get heartburn, especially when I'm laying down at night, so I got some Tums in here. And then I keep a little knife sharpener and an extra little folding fillet knife for just in case you need to cut up bait or something like that. On my rod holder bucket, I have a bait knife on it that stays on it, but you never know if you need the knife sharpener to sharpen that, or if you want to actually fillet some fish and you want a better knife than your bait knife. So all this stuff stays inside this little netted ditty bag here, along with the Sawyer squeeze, and that just stays in the bag like that. So last but not least, we have my rain kit here. And this is a necessity if you plan on doing activities outside, no matter what the weather is, because you don't want a little bit of rain to send you home and miss some good fishing opportunities because you left while it was raining. So inside here, I have a rain cover for my backpack so I can cover up all my stuff and not it get wet. And I have a pair of Frog Tog bibs in here, bib rain pants. And then I have a Columbia rain jacket in here. So this is some good quality rain gear that's not going to rip from a fish or some rocks or something like that. The pants are pretty tough, and I make sure you stay dry, because you want to make sure you stay dry, and staying dry will keep you on the water longer. And so some quality rain gear is a must if you plan on fishing and camping overnight. So this is pretty much my kit all the time, like 3 seasons. This is what it looks like. Changes in the winter time a little bit, but yeah. So now I'll get everything packed back away, and then we will get a my digital scale out, and we'll weigh it and see how much this all weighs. And so I know that normally you don't add food as part of your base weight, but this amount of food is pretty much always in my kit. So, and it doesn't weigh very much, so I don't mind on weighing it along with everything else here. Get the bulk of the heavy stuff down there. I have a little sleeve inside here that I put my food down into. And normally I pack it a little bit neater than what I'm doing right now, but I am just trying to be quick for the video. Top flap here, my headlamp, my sport, my bug net, my net gaiters, my gloves, and my snacks. Side pouches here, put my water bottles, and then right here on the bottom, I strap my pad. And boom, there is my pack most of the time. And I make it a little bit prettier most of the time, but this is what it is. All right, now we're gonna get a weight on this thing. I'm gonna guess it's about 20 pounds. Just my guess here. Oh, a lot lighter than that. All right, 14.62 pounds. That is pretty lightweight right there. Yeah, 14.5 pounds basically. And so then you add some water in there. There's about another pound, so it's about 15.5 for my little bottle. And then this one is a 2 pounds of water. So if I have all my water filled up, there's an extra 3 pounds, so you're up to 17 pounds there. And so yeah, still under 20 pounds. That's pretty good weight. I hadn't actually weighed it yet, so I was guessing it was about 20 pounds. So yeah, there is my 3-season backpacking setup as of 2024. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content, and hit that notification bell so you get alerted to all new content. Until then, hope you catch a big one.